Good morning everyone, welcome to Broyans Farm. So just like promised in my last video, we're gonna be finishing up the high tunnels today and maybe hopefully planting. I don't really know if we'll get that far. But first things first, Mom and I have got to get started here in the greenhouses. We're each gonna take one, make sure everything gets watered properly, and then we're gonna move in and start that job. The seed room is almost empty. Everything that's in here could come out now. It's all big enough. The only problem is that, as you can see, we have no room. Everything out here is basically retail sales. Besides down here, there might be a couple peppers, but that's it then. Once this is all transplanted into pots, 4-packs, 6-packs, singles, whatever that may be, that's it then for the season. We're at the point now with a lot of stuff that we just want to keep it happy. We don't really need it to grow no more for sales. Like basically all of these pots could get a little bit bigger, but they're big enough to where they're gonna do just fine for the customer. They're nice and healthy, and they really don't need to get any bigger. All of like the New Guineas and Sun Patience, they could go a little bit longer, obviously. They're not blooming yet. We have a couple here and there. All of the Marthas, they're ready to go. You can see all the beautiful flowers coming off of them. Then here's more Marthas. All of these Coleus are ready. And like I said, this could all get a little bigger, but it doesn't need to. The mints, we'll probably try and push a little bit more yet. Verbena, we've been trying to hold them back as much as possible just because they grow very fast, and you can still see some of them are coming out into flower now. The petunias down here are 100% ready. You can see how beautiful they're flowering. We have 3 different varieties. We have this kind, this one, oh actually 4, sorry. And then this one here. This one's probably my least favorite. And then these are probably my favorite, I think. It's just that now it's kind of the hardest to keep things the nicest because it's so much bigger and it takes so much more nutrients to keep it happy. And you don't want it to get dry because then it gets yellow leaves. But yet you also don't want to give it too much fertilizer because it's already big enough. So there's a very fine line on what you can give it and what you can't. Pap just showed up, he's starting to transplant. Me and Mom just got the plastic on the back of the Kubota, and we're just about ready to start laying it out here in the upper high tunnel.
Yeah, there you go. I was gonna say, you're going a little crooked.
Adeline, I swear that you were born to be an actress. Dance around the living room as if it were a stage in Los Angeles. You find the beauty in everything. You tear down all my
So we got it roughly about as good as we can. You can still see there's a bunch of crinkles in it and stuff, which we're gonna work out now as we go down the edges and get the staples in, which I already started up there in that corner. Mom just ran home for some ant spray because somewhere here, yeah, right here, there's a whole colony of ants. I don't know if you can see them. And obviously we don't want them with our tomatoes. And so we'll get them killed, then we can cover this side once this is set, and then we're ready for tomatoes. So you can see my first pin here, and then here, and then I kind of space them more apart because I might have to do some adjusting. So first of all, I don't want to pound them all the way down. I don't want to get them too close because if I do have to pull out, I don't want more than I need to. So basically, I kind of just like jump and work it as close to the edge as I would like to have it, which is somewhere around like 1 inch to 2 inches. That looks pretty good. I'm also kind of pulling down at the same time, keeping it nice and tight. So Mom and I just got this one completely finished up. Turned out really good. There's a couple little waves in there, but I think they'll work their way out within the next day or so. Now it's time to move on to the second one. Mom went for lunch, so I came down and started the lower one myself. It's going pretty good so far. For some reason, every single year, this one, even though it's smaller, seems to be kind of more frustrating than the upper one. but I'm handling it. And so now I'm going to take this and roll it out the other half, and then I'll be done. Well, besides, you know, fastening and pounding everything down in. When setting everything up, I don't pound everything down in just because in case I need to adjust, I don't want to have to pull them all the way back out. Okay, so this one's now done. Mom came down and helped me finish up. I then brought the header line in, just so it's out of the grass. I have my string line here. I'm gonna have to go get a tape. And then after about a day or so, after this settles down, and what I mean by settling down is, once it like kind of gets cold and hot a couple times, it like stretches and loosens and stretches and loosens, and then it kind of stays the way it wants to stay. So even though it looks a little bit wavy right now, a lot of times that'll pull right out, you know, after a couple of different temperature nights and days. So I'm hoping that maybe by later tomorrow or the next day, I can get the holes cut in here, and then we can start planting tomatoes. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. We're gonna be getting into way more than this in a couple months on the farm, getting into the fields, planting, all that kind of stuff, and we really appreciate it. We just had a fan go bad right here. Luckily, we picked up 2 over the winter, just in case this happened. So I immediately replaced it because you need these fans to circulate all that air. If you don't have air circulating and the plants are just laying wet all the time, it's gonna kill them. We haven't been having Graham Huffman come. Actually, I don't know if it's us not having her come or if she just couldn't come in general, but all of our seedlings have just been a little bit too small. So we've only been having Pap come just because he's so close. He gets like 3, 4, maybe 5 flats done a day, and he's basically keeping up with it. But within the next couple days here, all these marigolds are gonna be ready. The portulacas are gonna be ready. These peppers are gonna be ready. And so we're gonna be doing a lot of transplanting. And so Mom has been taking a lot of plants out to the farm market. Not so much because we want to, but more for the reason of we just need room over here in number 2. We took all of our field onions, put them outside on the wagon because, you know, they can take this colder weather. And then they got this all filled up again. And then down here, they've been taking select varieties of different plants out to the farm market. That way we have more room. Like today, Pap just got, well, this is lettuce, but he got the second batch of lettuce done, which is right down here. And so now all those tomatoes that they just got taken out to market, the hole is filled back up again. The only problem that we're seeing as of right now is our potted hanging tomatoes have a little bit of like discoloration in the leaves. It's not from dry, because if they got dry, they would have like yellow leaves more towards the bottom. And this is just kind of like I said, discoloration throughout the leaf. And so it almost seems like it's missing something. And so I think Mom just gave him Epsom salts today, which should help him out. But I think they might need an 18-6-18, like a lot of the Calabacova do. It's the next day. I just got down here into the lower high tunnel. The plastic seemed to level out a little bit better than what it was yesterday. And so now my next step for getting ready for tomatoes is now running another string line from now my row this time instead of where my drip tape is, which is right here. That way I know exactly where I want my tomatoes to be planted. This should almost be right in the center of the bed, maybe a little bit off to one side or the other. And then I also have my tape measure here because now I want to go through and cut holes every 2 foot, or as close as I can to every 2 foot, for the tomatoes to be planted, because obviously this is very thick and you can't just, you know, make a hole in it with your fingers. And so I want to come a little bit off the wall because we need room to walk around. I would say I'll come off at least 4 to 5 foot. I'll make my first hole, go 2 foot to 7 foot, make another hole, go to 9 foot, make another hole, and so on all the way down through the row. We used to do it with a little utility knife, but then I had the idea of grabbing a grinder, or not a grinder, this is called like a rotary tool or something of that sort. Yeah, rotary tool. And I put my cutting wheel on there, and I can very simply just make a nice X, cross, whatever you want to call it, and move on to the next one instead of trying to take a knife and physically cut down through and then maybe risk cutting the drip tape. So I'm gonna need my cutting wheels wherever they're at. This thing is kind of a mess. I need this. Wherever, there they are. This is the cutting wheel right there. I'm also gonna need this. So the three things I need is this, this, and this. I gotta press this little button, lock that into place. Take my little wrench on there. Loosen that up. And then theoretically that's supposed to pull out of there, but it always seems to lock in there way too hard for me. There it goes. Okay. Now I'll put this guy into there, like so. Tighten that back down. And now I'll take the flathead side of my wrench, loosen the screw, loosen the screw. Take this little piece off of here. Now I'll put the screw, I don't know if there's an upper or a lower side, but put that through there like that. Put that back into there. And tighten her down. Or try and tighten her down anyway. You want to make sure everything's pretty snug because you don't want that thing flying off or coming loose when it's spinning about 300 mile an hour. Perfect, right there. All right, so I decided 5 foot is the magic number. Just like that. And that's it right there. Maybe it could have been a little bigger, but now there's a perfect little hole there. We tuck our plant in, push the dirt in around it, and it's done. Okay, so that is it. First row is done. Tried to do it about as perfect as possible. I got a little bit off course. I'm trying to make that X right underneath the line, which I'm maybe 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch off, not a big deal. I can only go down here so far because of the heater, so I had to stop a little bit early, which was only about 2 more tomato plants, but not really that big of a deal. And so now I'll go through, do the other 3 rows, and then I'll move on to the upper one. I know some of you guys have been asking in the comments where Frank is. Well, over the winter, we didn't have any work for Frank. He ended up getting another job, and I think he really likes it there. You know, he has good benefits, all that kind of stuff. And so I don't think he'll be coming back to the farm. I don't know exactly for sure, but as long as he's happy and doing what he likes to do, that's all that really matters. I finished up the lower one, now came up here to the upper one. I got 4 rows done so far. I don't know exactly how many more I get per row, but it's at least double. And so I got 2 more rows to go. Same thing, 2 foot spacing. And then as soon as I'm done here, I'll show you what I do with the drip lines that I've buried or covered now with that fabric. Now what I'm working on is pulling my drip tape out from under the fabric. It's very important that everything lines up here. I'm gonna have huge holes that weeds are gonna grow up through. And so it's pretty simple because these screws are already in here. Like I said before, the upper one is the water, lower one is the row. And so I kind of just look here. The water is right about in the center of this 12-inch section here. And so obviously that's where my tomato is going to be. That meaning the water should be just around right here. And I'm even going as far just so that everything lines up perfectly as to measure off of the wall 4 foot 3 inches, and that's exactly where I'm making my hole. And so I've got my little tape measure here, or actually it's not really little, it's like a 100-footer. And if I can untangle it, I'll throw this on here, pull it down. 4 foot 3 inches is right there. I really got to be careful here that I don't poke the drip, or then I'm going to really be in trouble. And then I kind of take my finger and I dig down until I can get a hold of it, and right there it is. I'm going to make my hole a little bigger, and here it comes. And that's basically it. Then I'll go through and attach my header line to the drip tape, and then we're ready to start watering. After I got that drip line finished up, me and Dad actually came through in a pretty fast manner and got all the tomatoes planted. I didn't get any video just because, like I said, it was getting later in the day and I just wanted to get that finished up. And so now this is what it looks like. Everything went really well. Over on this side, I think they're red deuce, and on this side, it's red morning. These plants here were planted in 4-packs, so they're bigger. Those ones over there were 6-packs, but they're the same exact variety, just, you know, different sizes. But this is a different variety over here. And so now, basically, all we need to do is wait. Dad did come back over with a fertilizer mixture. I don't exactly know what it is, but watered them all by hand, just because the drip line really isn't going to do much to set the roots in as soon as you get them planted. So that's going to really help now, and it should make them take off. With that being said, that's what I'm going to call it a wrap for this video. As always, thank you guys for watching, and always remember it ain't much, but it's honest work.